Dude, I just got this freaking sick air suspension for my car.
Why?
Dude, I can like go over anything now. I can like pull up to the shows and just slam it, or when I'm driving, raise it up in the air. It's freaking sick.
You're a sellout.
No, I'm not a sellout, dude. It's like the best way to do it.
Static for life, dude.
No, I know, man. Static's all right, but like, dude, you have to understand, man. This is like the sickest, dude. You need to get air suspension on your car.
Why?
Dude, because you've gone through like 4 freaking front bumpers scraping on everything. You get stuck going out of the parking lot and people laugh.
People love it. People like post that shit all over Instagram.
Yeah, because they're freaking laughing at you, dude.
Static for life, bro. Static for life. Static.
Dudes, calm down. You know you can have best of both worlds, right? So I seriously hear it all the time. People arguing about air versus static. People are kind of on one camp. They're just so stoked to be part of the air crew or be part of that static life, right? It's like almost a lifestyle. Both have their pros and cons. You know, the pros of static is you get razor sharp handling, that real direct feedback through the steering wheel. But air, when we had this on our WRX, I was seriously giddy as a schoolgirl to lift it up and down. You do have that kind of vagueness through the steering wheel. It's not as bad as some people say, but you can definitely tell a difference. So ISC has come out with a solution that gives you best of both worlds. And honestly, you guys, when we were working on this WRX behind me, a lot of you guys are like, you know, get the ISC Air Cups, get the ISC Air Cups. ISC hooked it up with these bad boys here, and I'm so stoked to actually be installing these today. I'll get the coilovers off. I do have to install the tank and the pump again because I took it off, unfortunately, when we were going static. And so I do have to get the air pump, the compressor and the tank installed, and we'll run the lines up to the front. We'll get the coilovers off. We'll throw these bad boys on there, and I'm really excited to test these out and to see if the claim is true that you really can have best of both worlds. Let's get started. I'm really excited to get these installed. I'm just not excited to install this because I uninstalled this when we actually installed the ISC suspension. I took out all the air stuff, but luckily my laziness paid off a little bit because I didn't take out everything. I still had all the wiring left in, and I remember saying to you guys, I'm gonna remove that, and I never did because I'm lazy, so that's gonna help us out a little bit. So I do have to get this tank and the compressor installed back in the trunk, and then we'll run the 2 long lines to the front, and then I'll figure out a way to cap off the short lines that would go to the rear, and then that should be it. So this is my least favorite part of the install today. And then once this is done, we can actually take off the suspension itself, and I'll show you guys how to install these. That's done. I don't know why, I don't really like installing air stuff. I mean, like, you've got these, I know it has to be done, and at least it was easier than the first time I did it, but I just really want to install the coilovers, and so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take off the other side suspension. I'm gonna get them assembled, and then once everything's assembled, I'll go ahead and put them back on. We'll run our air lines, and hopefully everything will work out just fine. With our coilover off, first thing we wanna do is get rid of the adjustment knob. And then this is a 21mm nut, and we're just gonna zip this off. And just kind of remember the order in which everything goes. So we've got a washer there on top. And then we've got our bearing. We want to make sure that sits in there nicely. I think we will reuse this bearing here. So one thing about this kit is they do include new springs, obviously, and I'm going to show you why. Let's put that back on there. this would actually be a really good time to clean your coilovers if you feel so inclined. But, so, old spring, new spring. You might be wondering why it's so short. Well, once you put this on, equals about the same height. So it's exactly why they do that. And then we just reassemble. And I usually like to make sure the riding for the spring is right side up. It's just kind of a anal thing. The thing I should know is you want to be careful when you're installing this, just because it has seals in there. So we just want to make sure that that slips down nicely over the seals. And just double check everything, make sure it all looks good. Then of course we're gonna need this bearing, and we will need that. Let me go grab something to pull that out. There we go. And then you're just gonna kinda wanna work that out. Put that in there. Bearing goes in there. And this closes the bearing cage. Top hat goes back on, washer, and nut. And then, let's test this thing out. So basically what's happening is as pressure fills inside this chamber, it's pushing this piston down, which then compresses the spring. And when it's on your vehicle, it's actually gonna lift your vehicle up. And that's it. So repeat the same process for the other side, and you should be good to go. We need to get these put on the car, and then we can run those long air lines all the way up there. We need to run these lines all the way up to the front and try to find at least a somewhat clean way underneath here to do that. I'm just hoping that we have enough length. I kind of did a pre-test and it looks like they will fit, but we don't have much like wiggle room in there. So let's see. Honestly, that was way easier than I thought it was gonna be. I don't know what the hell took me so long last time, but I need to hook it up into there. But my biggest concern now is just making sure that it has enough slack. Even though this will rotate independently, I know that when the knuckle turns or when you turn the steering wheel, that's gonna wanna naturally rotate. So my thought is to zip tie it to the brake bracket there and give just enough slack so that it can turn. So I need to cut that line so it's perfectly straight as well. But let's go ahead and cut these down, get them zip tied, and then we're gonna test them out. All right, wheels are on. Let's see how this thing looks. Oops. All right, well, okay, I was kind of fearful that this would happen, but the front's sitting significantly higher than the rear. But that's about where we want the front to be, pretty flush. And so we'll have to lower that. But let's see if this thing even works. I'm glad it works at least, but I am going to lift it back up and lower the suspension, and this is at max height. So I also want to measure to see exactly how far it goes up and down, because ISC claims anywhere between 1 and 2 inches, but let's find out. Hopefully we're good this time. We're gonna lower it back down and see just how low we are. That's much better. Check that out. Okay, so now we're just about even front and rear. I think that's gonna look pretty good. Now let's see exactly how much it lifts this up. And to do that, First, we're gonna take the car off the lift. We're gonna roll it back and forth, let the suspension settle for a second, and then we'll get our measuring stick out and go for it. Perfect. Highly accurate and totally stable measuring stick. 25.5 inches, let's just say. Let's see how high this thing goes. We are at about 26.5, so about an inch. So that's not too bad. We have to go take it for a drive because I really want to find out if, when it's fully collapsed, if we still have the feeling of a standard coilover, and when it's fully up, our inch raise, if it feels like standard air suspension. So let's go find out. All right, so I have the coilovers dropped all the way down. It's going straight, feels like normal coilovers. Let's throw this thing around a few corners. Wish we had better places to drive around here. Oh yeah, that is very direct. So I am intimately familiar with the air ride. We had it on here before, or I guess I should say air lift. We had it on here before. I loved it, but you always kind of get this numbness coming from the front end through the steering wheel. It almost feels like the car doesn't have enough caster. Like you don't get that kind of that raw feedback that you really want. And it always kind of bothered me, but I loved the idea of being able to lift the car up and down. It was just fantastic, right? So with these, oh yeah, with these, when they are fully collapsed, they really are metal on metal. Let's drive around a little bit more. It's been a minute since I've driven this car, but it really is just like metal on metal. It's like having a normal coilover. There'd be zero difference. I mean, you just get that razor sharpness, you get direct feedback through the steering wheel. It's basically everything you want. Okay, while we're driving, this is safe. We're gonna lift up. I can actually feel it go up. Okay, now the car is fully raised. It's definitely a little bit more bouncy, I would guess. It's very, very subtle though. I should say it is very, very subtle. But I really want to take a corner. Let's just kind of do... You know what? That's actually not too bad. Yeah, over these rough sections, you can feel it a little bit. You know, you just kind of get that, yeah, just that little bit of extra pogo stick action going on here, which is something I didn't feel with the airlift kit. The airlift felt firm, but numb. This feels a little, oh yeah, we're pogoing. Okay, that becomes very apparent when you go through these like washboard sections, okay? The front end's just bouncing. Okay, so here's the conclusion you can take from this. Well, but first, I should say, when you just throw it around, you don't lose that feeling. I mean, it goes away a little bit, but not as much as the airlift, surprisingly. I thought it would feel just like the airlift, you know, just kind of that numbness. But it actually, I don't know if it's because you've got a piston, you know, metal inside a metal cup, and that keeps that feedback there. I'm not sure. I don't know the physics behind it. But it's definitely different. I would not recommend driving around like this. This is not for driving. I mean, you can. I mean, I am. But it's, oh, this is almost funny. It pogos. It just pogos. Boingy, 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 right? Because I don't think this is set up to be an air spring. This is an air cup. And I'm almost wondering, no, that's the same. If putting that excess load on it through bouncing is forcing air out the seals, because it is just everything sealed, right? Like not by the piston or the bag itself, but just through little normal standard seals. And I'm wondering, I probably should have talked to ISC before I did this, but I'm almost wondering if you're not supposed to be driving around like this. But it definitely has a little bit of a pogo action. So, conclusion, these things are phenomenal. It really truly is the best of both worlds. Now you guys might be wondering, well, Rick, I noticed you didn't install any on the back. Well, because this is a multi-link rear suspension, I don't think the rear suspension tunnel has enough room to fit one of these big air cups in it. Now, if you had a McPherson strut rear and you had enough room behind, I'm mainly talking behind the strut itself, like up against the actual car, you could probably fit one of these on the rear as well. In fact, I might try something like that in the future. But if you're, you know, like this, you know, 2008 plus Subaru or whatever, you're not going to be able to install it on the rear, so you have to do it just on the front. But man, if you are looking for, you know, you like that static life and you like feeling that direct feedback from coilovers, but you also want to be able to get out of the car show without getting laughed at, this just might be the perfect setup for you, because it really is like best of both worlds. You can have the full height adjustability, yet you still get the standard pillow ball top hat coilover experience, and you don't have to sacrifice anything other than make sure you set your ride height where you want it when the air cups are fully compressed at its lowest height. That's where you want your driving ride height, and then just use the lifting ability to clear obstacles. That's it. As long as you're happy with that, these seriously are pretty unique on the market. I don't know of any other company that makes something like this. I mean, I know there are, like KW makes them, but they're so expensive. What a cool freaking product. Okay, I'm gonna drop these down, and this is where we're gonna end the videos, friends. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Tell me what I can be doing better for you guys. Obviously, this one I try to do something a little bit different, and I hope you guys liked it. We'll see you next time.